Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Samira and today I wanted to sit down and talk with you about my top 22 books I want to read in 2022. This will have backlist books as well as new releases in 2022, mostly new releases in 2022, but I also want to get through my backlist as well. I just included the ones that are top priority at the moment. You guys know I'm a mood reader, so take this list with a grain of salt because I don't know exactly if I will get to them this year, but as of now, these are the ones I'm feeling and I'm really looking forward to. Chill out, relax, and we'll get into it. First off, I wanted to get through books that are already out. They've already been released. These are backlist books that have been released within the past several years. And these are also books that I personally own and I just want to get through. I've been trying to get through these for a while. So hopefully 2022 is the year I can do that. We will see. But first one is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This book I have been trying to get through, I don't know how long. It's one of those books that I just have heard so many good things about that I'm just really nosy. I want to know what makes it so great that everyone loves it so much, and I love the way Madeline Miller writes. She writes beautifully. I liked Circe. I wouldn't say it was one of my favorite books, but I did enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to The Song of Achilles. I think arguably that's probably her more popular of the two books, so I'm really excited and I'm really hoping to get to it this year. I just have my list pulled up next to me to kind of reference to. But next I have The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I just heard this compared to Knives Out and I love that movie. I really enjoyed it and it's one of my favorite movies, so obviously if it's being compared to Knives Out, of course I have to read it. The first two books have already come out, so I'm hoping I can read those two. I'm not sure if the third book's coming out this year, but I'm hoping to read those two in succession because I feel like that's the type of series those books are. I'm very excited. Again, I'm just giving like very vague synopses of these, but because they're already out, I feel like a lot of people are familiar with it. But again, that's one of those that I really want to get to. It's in my physical TBR as well. It's sitting right next to me, been staring at me since I bought them. Hopefully I can get to them this year. Next I would really like to read is A Marvelous Light by Freya Marsk. This is being sold to me as being full of magic, contracts, and conspiracies, which that sounds very interesting and exciting and very intriguing. So I'm very much looking forward to this book. I'm very excited. And again, I am hoping to get to a lot of books that aren't very well talked about as well, just because, like, you know, there are some hidden gems sometimes that people just aren't either aware they're out or it's not very well known in the book community maybe, but that's what I'm hoping to get to more this year because I feel like you genuinely will find like hidden gems that way. So I'm hoping this is one of them. Another one, which again, it's such a hype book for me that I'm terrified, but it's The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I have actually started this book and so far I'm very much enjoying it because I get the sense from what I've read so far, I'm only maybe 20% in as of now, but it's giving me the whimsy and excitement that's very indicative of fantasy books and children's books particularly, just like the fun and excitement and whimsy of it all. I have not experienced in ages, like I said, like I haven't experienced it since those books I've read when I was younger. And so far, Starless Sea is definitely giving me that vibe, that energy. I'm cautiously excited and optimistic, and it's also a book about books. So a book about books and secret societies and mystery and fantasy is just, it seems like it's right up my alley compared to The Night Circus. I did read The Night Circus, I think back in 2020, and I liked it. It was okay, but I just felt as if it was missing something. It was just very beautiful writing and just not enough oomph to the plot, if you could say that. So far I'm enjoying The Starless Sea a lot more, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it continues this way, and it's definitely one of the ones I want to finish this year. Another one, this is very much out of my comfort zone, so if I was not buddy reading this with close friends, I probably would never read this just because historical romances are just not for me. I feel like I have yet to read one, and I don't know, like the plots of historical romances just don't seem to entice me. Maybe that's just a me thing, and I'm not familiar enough with the genre as it is to know which ones I would like. So I am looking to read / listen to The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is the second book in the Bridgerton series. No, I have not read the first book in that series, but I did watch the show, and honestly, I can tell you, I was not looking to continue watching. It was entertaining, yes, but just not something that I was interested to keep up with. But they cast Simone Ashley as the love interest of season 2, which I adore her in Sex Education. And second of all, the fact that they're gonna have a POC woman as the main love interest in a historical romance, that's enough to have me sold. And also, I've again heard that this is very much enemies to lovers, so I feel as though the angst as it is and the stakes that come with enemies to lovers is already like very high, but the fact that it's set in historical romance, I feel like that's just heightened. So I'm really excited because of the cast of season 2. I think that's why it enticed me to read the book, or hope to read the book before the season comes out. Again, if I wasn't reading it with close friends, I probably wouldn't get around to it, but that's the fun of buddy reading, so I'm hoping to get to that soon, definitely before the next season comes out in March. Then, the final book in my like backlist TBR of this year, I have been trying for so long to get into it. And it's not like an issue with the books, it's an issue with me, because again, I just have a tendency, if it's a highly anticipated book or even series for me, I cannot read it unless the timing is right for me, because if something is amiss, if something is off, then it's just gonna create a not very ideal reading space, reading mentality for me. And this series is An Ember in the Ashes, and y'all, I've been trying to read this for I don't know how many years, and again, it's just a matter of like me just not getting around to it. And I know I put this on my anticipated reads for last year, and clearly I never got around to it, so hopefully someone will keep me accountable to get to the series this year. So now that's all of my backlist books. So now we're gonna get into the books that are coming out this year. I try to put these in order of publication date as of now. Hopefully they don't change anything, or else I'm gonna be really mad. So first we have This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. It comes out on February 1st. So literally in like 2 weeks from when I'm filming this. This is a very sentimental and highly anticipated read of mine because it's set in ancient Persia, and it's based on Shahnameh, which is again our book of mythology. I'm just so excited and nervous because I really hope it lives up to like my expectations and my overall excitement for this concept, because it's been a long time coming. Nothing against Greek mythology, I adore Greek mythology, but we need more mythology based books that are stemming from other cultures other than Greek. That's just my 2 cents. Again, I'm kind of nervous to read this book, but also going in with a clean slate, just looking to have a fun time and enjoy it. And I'm just very excited to get to it. And I'm hoping to have a reading vlog of this year. So keep an eye out for it. That's definitely my plan for it. And just to give you a taste of what the book is supposed to entail, it has clashing empires, forbidden romance, and a long-forgotten queen destined to save her people. Again, it has Persian mythology all throughout. It deals with a thief and a crown prince. What more could you ask for? So I'm very excited. Next book that's coming out is actually on February 22nd, and it's called Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. This one has been sold as Monsters versus Monster Slayer, in the sense that our main character comes from a family of monsters. I don't know if this is like in the literal sense or like figurative sense, but she comes from a family of monsters, and our love interest turns out to be a monster hunter. So that's giving enemies to lovers if I ever did hear a synopsis like that. Next, we have one coming out on March 8th. It's called A Far Wilder Magic by Alison Saft. So it's a love story between a huntress and alchemist set against a deadly hunt. So y'all know I love stories or romances that have science-based characters in them just because I feel seen and it gives me hope. You know, we're not going to talk about how it's set in fantasy. We're just going to hope. Okay, it seems like a very exciting year for fantasies this year, and I didn't really read a lot of fantasies last year. It was primarily romance, and although I'm still wanting to read more romances this year, I definitely want to read more fantasy, kind of get back into my fantasy era, if you will. It's been a long time coming, so I'm hoping I can make a longer return this year. Next, we have The City of Dusk by Tara Sim that comes out March 22nd. And it's supposed to be the first of a dark epic fantasy trilogy. It follows 4 heirs in 4 different noble houses, and each have their own divine gifts, which honestly sounds very exciting. Very much magical Hunger Games, if you will. They have to come together and form an alliance to prevent their kingdom from falling apart. Love to see it in fantasy, not in real life, but love to see it, so I'm excited. Next, we have Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May, and it comes out March 29th, and it's sold to me as Sapphic Gatsby, but with witches. Mic drop. That is all I need to know. Thank you very much. Next, we have A Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. It comes out April 5th, and I love heists. This is nothing new. I am a heist enthusiast. I love a good heist book, and if it's executed well, that's all we could ask for. It follows POC students who basically visit a museum, and you know how museums are notorious for having exhibits and items that are stolen from native land. Basically, they go to these museums and they form a heist to take back the items that have been taken from their native countries. If that does not give badass energy, I have the arc of this. I cannot wait to get to it, and it sounds like the energy we want to bring to 2022, you know? So I'm excited. I'm sure this is probably on everyone's list, but next we have Book of Night by Holly Black. I have missed Holly Black. It's been a minute since she's come out with something. Like, I have been towing the line of rereading her Cruel Prince series trilogy. I have missed that world so much, and now that we're getting not only a dark fantasy, but a dark adult fantasy from Miss Holly Black this year, the synopsis told me all I needed to know, that it's essentially Ninth House and Cruel Prince. What more could I ask for? If you watched my last video, you know that Ninth House was one of my favorite reads of last year, and the fact that we're getting a dark fantasy book by Holly Black, one of the fantasy queens, that's along the lines of Ninth House. I'm so excited. That's all I need to know. I can't wait. So that comes out May 3rd, and another book that comes out May 3rd is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Y'all know, based on my last video again, that she has quickly become an auto-buy author of mine, and I will read anything that she will put out. Just to tell you, like, I don't need to read a synopsis of this, just knowing that she's coming out with a book this year, hands down, already know I'm gonna drop everything and read this book. But it's about a literary agent and a literary editor that are kind of like rivals within their field, and they have to collaborate together. Sounds delicious to me. Again, this is a very exciting year for fantasies. Now that I'm looking at my list, I didn't realize how much fantasy was on here, but I'm very excited because I have missed my fantasy era and very much want to go back to it. Next, we have The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. It comes out May 17th, and it's another Adam fantasy, but it's adult this time. So in my head, I'm just like, We Hunt the Flame, but adult edition. I'm excited. Not only is it an adult Adam fantasy, but it's following a thief, a djinn bodyguard, and a prince who have to work together to pull off, I think, a heist of some sort. Regardless, sounds like something I will eat up in no time. Y'all know I adore the Poppy Wars series by R.F. Kuang, and I have been looking forward to reading this book for so long because, again, it's a dark academia-esque book. I wouldn't necessarily say it's fantasy, but it's a diverse version of the secret history, and that is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I am not saying that long ass title because no, I will never remember that. Again, looking forward to all of these, but I'm very excited to be reading more of her stories because again, this is more realistic based rather than Poppy War, which is again still has themes from real life but is primarily fantasy. So I'm excited to read something from her that's not fantasy. Babel comes out August 23rd, and what also comes out on the 23rd of August is Love on the Brain by Miss Allie Hazelwood. Again, I will read anything this woman comes out with because I adored The Love Hypothesis so much last year, and hearing that she's coming out with another book within the same world as them, but it's not following the two main characters of Love Hypothesis, but it's a romance based in NASA. It's a NASA romance. I'm so excited. I am so glad that she's bringing STEM romances into the mainstream because this has been something a long time coming. So get ready for this to be my brand for the rest of this year when I finally get to read it. Also, I'm very geeked because a lot of these fantasies tend to be like dark fantasies. Again, this is a very chaotic video. I'm just noticing these as I'm looking at my list. But the next one I have is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. It comes out August 23rd as well. There's so many books coming out this year that are all on the same day, like rip my wallet. This is a gothic infused romance mystery. Immediately I'm like, ooh, ninth house romance mystery. Already excited. But it's dealing with an alliance with Death himself. Sign me up. I am excited. We are not surprised at all to see this on my list, but I would definitely say it's probably my most dreaded book release, most anticipated yet dreaded release, because it would mark the end of a very near and dear trilogy to my heart, and that is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This comes out November 1st. Please, Miss Cassandra Clare, do not change the publication date because this was supposed to come out, I think, March, April. But no, we're still a good while away from the release of this book. Yes, it gives me time to mentally prepare for this book because I know that this book is going to destroy me. If I had to say any of these books from this list, it would be this one. I am not excited in that sense, but I am excited to get back to my literary babies because I did not like how Chain of Iron ended. I was stressed out, the characters were stressed out, it just was not a good time. Look forward to a reading vlog of that because I definitely will be vlogging that experience because I feel as though it's going to be very much a blur of me reading that book. Another book that's also coming out on November 1st is The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew. These blurbs for these books know how to sell me because this is Ninth House meets the Raven Boys. Raven Boys, I know this is a hot debate, but to me, I consider it dark academia. It's very loosely termed dark academia, but it gives me the same vibes. And the fact that it's met with Ninth House, I'm so excited. It's a dark, atmospheric fantasy featuring a deaf student with a connection to death. I don't know what's the fascination with death in these books coming out this year, but mark me intrigued. On November 8th, we have Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion. I read Legendboard finally last year, and I had such a good time. Again, it was a fantasy series based on King Arthur and Excalibur, which that's not something that I'm very well versed in terms of like already existing stories to be reinvented and revived. So that in itself was a very new and exciting experience for me, especially reading it. And that ending deserved jail time. So the fact that, again, this was another book that was supposed to come out in July, but I think it got moved to November 8th. So again, I'm hoping like Chain of Thorns, it does not get moved again because I will be very devastated to have to wait longer than I need to. And I think it's a trilogy, so we're probably gonna have to wait a long time again. But I might just read Legendborn before reading Bloodmarked. We'll see, just so that way like I refresh my memory. It's just a more immersive experience, at least for me. And finally on this list, which also comes out November 8th, is A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faizal. again, Hafsa is already one of my auto-buy authors. I have a very short list of who my auto-buy authors are, and she's one of them. And this is the first book not in the same vein as We Hunt the Flame from her. And she was selling it as Peaky Blinders with vampires and a heist. And that just sounds amazing. And like I said, I will read anything that she comes out with, but I'm just very excited because like this is a world that we have not yet experienced from her. And I'm just very looking forward to it. I'm very excited. So many good books, so exciting, so little time. But again, that kind of wraps up the 22 books I want to get to this year. Hopefully, I kind of added some stuff to your TBR, your existing TBR, if you haven't heard of some of these. If you are planning on reading any of these, let me know, because I would love to kind of like geek about this stuff with someone else. But also, if you have something that you're looking forward to that I did not mention personally, please mention it below as well, because again, I'm always looking for something new and exciting to read that I haven't heard of. I hope you enjoy this video. If you want to hear more from me and like see more frequent reading updates, I tend to post more on my Twitter, also my Goodreads and my Instagram, but primarily you'll find me screaming about stuff on Twitter, so find me on there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time in my next video. Bye!